Welcome to a highly rambly, unplanned, chaotic clusterfuck of a video. I hope you at least find some use in it and feel better about yourself after watching it. Thank you. To get started, I am gonna go ahead and be an idiot and save this over another finished drawing. This is a step you can totally skip. It's voluntary, and yes, I'm a dumbass. So this is probably the least pleasant phase of any drawing, I think. Just sketching. A lot of thought goes into it. A lot of, how do I want my composition to be? What way around do I do things? And, making sure the form is right. What you're looking at is an extremely fast painting. These are an hour tops, so this is being kept fairly simple and not clean. So whenever I'm making sketches, I tend to experiment a lot, and this is not my usual process, but I decided to try and make an underpainting here. So basically what I'm doing is setting down how I want the shadows, how I want the general look to be later, and yeah, that. Again, not my general process, but I quite enjoyed doing that. I think it served the final look better to have that down at this phase. My usual approach to sketches and speed paints is that I try to avoid using layer effects. I am trying to be able to find the colors without layer effects and to be able to just paint things in. So what I'm doing right now is I am filling in the area of the character, and as you can see, I left the underpainting on a layer underneath. I am not going to use the underpainting directly. This is something a lot of artists do, and definitely something I'm going to experiment with later. But right now I'm placing in the character's colors within the area. There, now I moved the underpainting on top and made it, I think I made it a multiply layer, which is your usual shading layer, just to see where things are. But I'm still manually picking out the colors that I'm going to use to shade different areas of color on this character. So what I'm doing is I am picking out colors for shadows for each of the colors on the character. If you're wondering how I'm picking those, I'm simply taking the base color I put down and tinting it slightly blue and darker. The underpainting is there to help me keep in touch with my values. It's something I have noticed that sometimes I mess up, where I will start detailing too much or turn certain things too dark because I keep adding stuff and whatnot. So having a sort of guide to rein in my tendency to keep filling those things in, or going darker or whatnot, is very helpful. Right now you're probably looking at me taking a shit or something similar. You might ask, why have I not edited this part out? And honestly, I am asking myself the same question right now, but that's alright. Let's get back to painting, right? So again, because I am not using layer effects, I am going into each area, based on the color that I've laid down for it. If I was using layer effects to shade this, that would mean I can put in the flat colors and add the shadow on another layer that would then, appropriately tint every single color similarly. So the character is one layer only. So in my tiny artist brain, I follow two rules, simplified, when it comes to shading. So the shape of a shadow is defined by the form underneath, of course, and the intensity, the darkness of a shadow. First of all, the shadow will be darker closer to the light source. Like where the edge is, that's where the shadow is going to be at its darkest. Then it will light up a bit below. So you can see that very much on the cheek there. So the cheek is at its darkest where the shadow begins and then lights up downwards. And the light source will make the shadows more defined, darker, and sharper. So moving down on the image, I am doing less intense shadows. The goal of that is also to sort of keep the detailed area at the top there and make you look at the face a bit more and make that the sort of interesting bit to look at. I'm really hoping you're enjoying my shitty mic, all the humming it's making in the background, you know, gentle humming, the peaceful sounds of my spit and whatnot flying at it, my breathing. You know, I really should make this an ASMR channel. And what we're looking at right now is another bodily function sort of break. If I don't shit at least twice while making a drawing, it will not turn out very good. So I make sure to do that. In order to achieve it on these faster drawings, I drink insane amounts of coffee first. This is also a skippable thing, but I'll bet you it'll improve your art. Promise. So now we're looking at me just detailing. It's not really. I'm following the same principles basically as described. I'm just adding highlights. I'm making sure the markings of the character are okay. Trying to stick to my initially planned composition, and especially with these fast works, it's a lot just about, hey, I think this will look good, or hey, you know, what do I think of this, or just experimental, you know? On larger paintings, I take more time to make sure it's clean. And here we go, I've just added one layer with layer effects to shade out the bottom bits of the character to make sure you're looking at the right bit again, and to make sure the focus is where it is, and yeah, that's about it. The process of this one was fairly chaotic, but I'd say successful. I will definitely be experimenting more with using underpainting, especially on these faster paintings, and also quite possibly filling in the colors on the same layer that the underpainting is on. That is a technique used by oil painters, so I'm hoping that will result in a more traditional look and still help me develop my process and way of thinking. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm happy to take any suggestions on what you'd like to see perhaps in these kinds of videos, what you'd like to hear me talk about and whatnot. So yeah, that was that. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Thank you.